Everyone, welcome back to Young and Wifed Up. This is Gabby.
And I'm Marcella.
And thank you for joining us today for another episode.
Before we get started on today's topic, I want to tell you guys about Earth Hero. Earth Hero is a one-stop shop for all of your sustainable cleaning products, household products, pretty much anything that you can think of. They have a sustainable alternative on there. And on our website, we have a
link?
For what?
A link and a 10% off coupon.
Oh, 10% off. Okay, if you use the link for your order, you can get 10% off of your entire order. And again, they have so much stuff to choose from. Anything that you could probably get on Amazon, your typical daily household products, you can find on Earth Hero. And it's better for your household and better for the environment.
Bless. And use Young and Wifed Up at the checkout so you can get the 10% off.
Oh, wow. Sorry. Code.
It's okay.
It's code.
Code. Anyway, we're going to give you guys our home management tips that have helped us over the years. So even though we are still young in our marriages, we have learned quite a few things over the past 5 years for you, 4 years for me. You're going on 6 and I'm going
almost
on 5.
6. Yeah.
So even though we're still young, we have been super blessed, 1 by the internet, 2 by Facebook groups, 3 by really wise and cool older ladies in our life, and also just learning from each other, learning from you guys, learning from our peers. So we're going to go back and forth, kind of sharing our general home management tips, things that have helped us as home managers, whether you work part-time or whether you're home full-time, or if you work full-time but you want to be better at managing your home better and that vocation, we have some tips for you today. So I'll start with my first one. And I've talked about this multiple times in different scenarios. And I have a Patreon exclusive episode about the Pomodoro method, which kind of goes further into why I believe this works. But my first big home management tip is 15-minute timers for productivity. It can take you from overwhelmed to productive in 15 minutes. So a huge roadblock for me when I was first homemaking is being overwhelmed by all the tasks and feeling like I either have too much time in my day or not enough time in my day to fit those said tasks. So whether or not you are adopting the Fly Lady routine, or if you want to start doing Pomodoro, or if you have a strict schedule that you want to stick to, there can be times where you just need that extra jump and boost. And sometimes just setting a 15-minute timer can truly change the game for you. If I'm feeling overwhelmed with anything, I'm like, you know what? I have 15 minutes. And if I can get as much as I can done in 15 minutes, then what else could I do? So if I set 15-minute timer, I usually stick to it and I don't do any other tasks outside of that, whether it be cleaning or admin work or whatever I'm setting my 15-minute timer for. But sometimes I go beyond it because I'm like, you know what? I thought this was going to be really hard and challenging, but I'm actually doing pretty well. And I just need another extra 5 minutes to finish up this task. And then you finished the thing that you've been dreading. So that's my first big tip. 15-minute timer can get you started for anything.
Nice. Okay. So, sorry, I'm like thinking of another thing while you're talking about that. Okay, my first one is my first tip. If you struggle with kind of keeping the ball rolling and you're like, oh, I'm going to sit down for a few minutes and like relax. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting down for an hour and I wasted all this time. What has really helped me is putting on audiobooks and podcasts. For some reason, it helps you tune out of the mundane mental part of like cleaning or cooking or like laundry and dishes and like those sorts of things, and it kind of like helps my brain go to a different place, but it keeps my body moving to do the tasks that I need to do. So it's like whatever I need to do to keep my body moving. I need my arms to move so I can fold the laundry, and I need my arms to move so I can wash the dishes and those sorts of things. sometimes that is the only thing that will get me up off the couch or off the bed to be like, oh, I really want to keep listening to this audiobook because I really want to know what happens next. And it's like, okay, well, I can listen to this while I'm doing the dishes.
Yes.
And it just like, it makes it so much more doable. And I feel like it goes faster too. It feels like it goes faster. It probably does not actually go faster, but it feels like it does because you're listening to something while you're doing it. So if you feel like you're lacking the motivation, like sometimes those things can be really helpful. Something that like, I know if I'm tending towards kind of relaxing a little too much and I need to
indulging.
Indulging, like, oh, I deserve a rest. And like, yes, we all need our downtime and, that sort of thing. And like, that is helpful. But if I feel like I'm getting too far into that, I'm like, I'm going to specifically pick a book
that you're stoked about.
That I'm like, gonna be like, I cannot stop listening to this and I just want to keep listening to it. And some people have been like, I don't really like audiobooks. And I'm like, what? How is that possible? But that has been very helpful for me when it comes to like, I have a lot of things I have to do and I'm going to set aside a 2-hour chunk of time after the boys go down.
Yes.
Where I can just rack everything out and like get it all done, and I'm doing it while listening to something that I really like. It just makes it like way more enjoyable.
Ditto everything you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, my next tip is that opening your blinds and your windows can keep your home smelling fresh and reduce the risk of sickness and allergies. So I had already kind of known, like, in a general way that it was good to air out your house, so it's not so musty. But after reading Florence Nightingale's Notes on Nursing, it is so good. Please read that. I talked about it in the cold and flu thing, and I think I talked about it in our a Goodreads episode we did for Patreon. But yeah, that book, the first big practical thing she tells you to do is open your windows. And so I was like, yes, ma'am. And I went and opened all my windows. And it has been a good practice and habit in my house. And I noticed that my house feels brighter and fresher. It smells better.
Yeah.
And also it's helping to get all like the dust and the musty, it's just kind of fresher in here. And then also it's good to have open windows when you're sick so that your virus, you're not like marinating in whatever thing is going on
floating around. Yeah.
And then also it's just, this is not a good tip for like when it's super hot, because I am a vampire when that happens. Like, you will not catch me with an open blind in the 110-degree weather.
Yeah.
But every other time, it just helps my mental health when I have this routine of opening my blinds, cracking my windows. It's just like joyful. I don't know.
Like hearing the birds and like the trees and like
the ambulance and the homeless people and
the shootings. And
yeah. It's just this side of town, honestly, or this side of California.
Just live in the ghetto.
Yeah. But either way, it is still, even no matter where you live, having this kind of opening of your day in your home, it really does something to your brain. And then that's a good kickstart to my homemaking day, my cleaning day, like opening my windows. I can do that. And I open it and I'm like,
it's like a mood boost.
Now I can do this. And now I can do that. And now I want to put my clothes on. And now I want to get on my PJs. And this is great. Where's my coffee? So it's just a good open your windows. Next.
Nice. I really like doing that when it's springtime.
Oh, yes. The birds.
Yeah.
The birds are
And
everything.
we're like coming out of the really cold winters and it's like, oh, wow, it's warm today. Okay. I want to talk about something that I call a work in reverse kitchen schedule. And I will explain what this means as concise as I possibly can, because it's supposed to be a mini-sode. So
like, it's 9 minutes already.
So essentially, generally a kitchen schedule is really helpful when you are doing a lot of baking, if you're doing a lot of soaking grains, if you're doing a lot of sourdough, if you're doing a lot of things that take a lot of like, if you're marinating meats, like that sort of thing where you have to thaw stuff hours beforehand, you have to marinate stuff a whole day before, or you have to soak grains a whole day before, all those different things. What I was doing, I haven't done it in a couple of months because that at that time I was doing a lot of baking and cooking, just like an insane amount. I was in the kitchen all day, every day. And that like has slowed down a little bit, and I'll probably pick it back up again pretty soon. You write out everything that you need to make for that week. So if you have a meal plan, hopefully you know what you're going to be making for dinner that week. Also, do you need to make bread? Do you need to make a sourdough pancake situation for the kids for breakfast this one day? Do you need to make rice for this dinner and you want to soak it in water the night before? All of those things, you write all that stuff down. And then with each thing that you need to prepare or work on, you go from when it needs to be done and you schedule backwards from then, so you know exactly when you need to start working on it. So the worst thing is that, oh man, I needed to have sourdough rolls for dinner on Saturday night, which means I should have made the dough Saturday morning, which means I should have fed the starter the night before. And it's like Saturday night and you're like, oh, I don't have my rolls that I was supposed to literally prep the night before.
Yeah.
So having those things in front of you, that way you know, I know this is like a 24-hour process of just making this one specific thing. And if I don't start it on time, I'm going to be scrambling. It ends up saving you time, because then it's like, okay, well now what are you going to do for your bread for that dinner situation? Because now you bought the ingredients for this, but then you didn't even prep it. So now it's not even ready in time. So it's good for not wasting what you've bought for your meal plan for that week. And also just making sure that like you're sticking to what you wanted to do. So it's very helpful. It is kind of tedious. Like usually it takes me a good 30 minutes once a week to do a whole written out kitchen schedule. But then I feel so at peace because I'm like, I just look at my day and what I need to do at this time and this time and this time, and that is exactly what I do. And I know that I'm prepping for the next day or the day after that. I'm prepping the food for even like the future as well. So
no, that's a really good idea. Yeah. I like that a lot. Okay, my next one is going to be about doing a brain dump. So I don't know about you, but I have this problem that when I'm going to sleep, I think about everything I have to do tomorrow.
Me too.
It is so bad. And then my mind is racing, and then I'm getting anxiety, and then I can't sleep. And then I'm like, oh, I really hope. It's mostly me saying, I really hope I remember to do this tomorrow.
Oh gosh.
And that's the scary. Never ending cycle. And then inevitably I don't. And then I'm like, oh, my worst fear happened, all that thing. So this is my hack. Do a brain dump of tasks, to-dos, appointments, calls, hangouts, everything that thing that happens when you lay down, do that maybe in bed. If that's like the point that really happens, like when you sit in your bed and all of a sudden everything comes to you, or like sitting on your couch after you're done with your homemaking day and you're like, I cannot relax because all I can think about is all the things I have to do tomorrow. Doing a brain dump and physically writing everything down before you relax or go to bed for the night can ease your anxiety and help you to have a more restful sleep.
Wow.
So in our home management pack that I posted in the Patreon, that's free for all of our Patreon subscribers, one of those pages is a brain dump page. So if you need something to literally just jot down, and there's no rules. You don't have to do it like a task list, or it's literally just any thought of something you have to remember or do that comes to your mind. Just even silly things like, oh, I have to text so-and-so tomorrow. Just a brain dump. That way, when you finally get to hang out with your husband at the end of the night, or you finally get to go to sleep after such a long day, you're not sitting there spiraling, like going through every tiny little thing in your brain that you have to get done. So that's one of my biggest tips for home management, is that we can't do our jobs well if we are at the end of the day, like then constantly obsessing and freaking out over what we have to do the next day. So even just doing a brain dump, and then in the morning, you can look at your brain dump, and then you can kind of categorize things as like, this is my to-do list. These are things that, you know what, I can actually do another day. I'm going to put that on another sheet. You know what I mean? Then you can kind of organize your thoughts better when you're doing like your morning routine. But at night, it's out of my brain. Now I can relax. You know what? I have an idea, because this mini-sode is going to turn into a mega-sode.
Wow.
Let's do the rest of our hacks on our Patreon exclusive episode for this week. How does that sound to you?
That sounds good.
All right, so we're going to save. We have 5 more. Marcella has 3 more, and I have 2 more home management hacks that we want to share with you guys. And if you want to listen to those, head over to our Patreon account this week, and that episode will be there ready for you. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.